Hi, I'm Lucy, and my Better Ballarat is a place that engages with our rich history and heritage in a way that's sustainable, creative, and encourages wider community pride.
My name is Sissy Austin. I'm a Gunditjmara, Kira, Wurrung, Japurung woman. I live here on Wadawurrung country in Ballarat. A progressive Ballarat council, to me, looks like a council that allows for the voices of young people to be heard.
My name is Hazel and I am a member of the Ballarat Action Climate Co-op, which is a local group of high school students who are concerned about climate change and are taking action.
A council that avoids tokenism, that really looks at dismantling oppressive structures and then rebuilding it with Aboriginal people leading on the rebuilding of those structures.
My name is Briody and I live in Wurrung and I'm passionate about riding bikes.
I'm Huybregts. One of the major issues needs to be rebuilding council's capability to manage its environmental assets.
I'm Sally Missing and I live in Buninyong. What I'd like to see from Ballarat Council is a stronger commitment and stronger leadership in the area of climate change. And what I'd most like to see from Council is some leadership with the community on climate change.
Apparently I'm part of the minority. I'm not sure how I feel about that, because being a minority suggests maybe I'm of lesser value or not as important as those who are in the majority. But I don't feel like I should be in the minority, because I work, I contribute, I pay my taxes, I use all the facilities, I have hopes, dreams, aspirations, views and opinions on what I want to see in my city. So I feel like an equal, and I feel I should be represented equally on the council.
Hi, I'm John.
Hi, I'm Kat. Personally, I'm really passionate and interested in the environment and ensuring that the environment remains in a good condition for future generations.
And something that I'm really passionate about is housing affordability and housing justice for all.
Hi, my name is Briody and I live in Wurrung and I'm passionate about riding bikes. Riding a bike is fun, it's cheap, and it's good for the planet. So why don't more people ride bikes? Several studies have shown that more people would ride bikes if it was just a little bit safer. And there's a large proportion of the population that are in that category. They've got a bike already and they're keen to ride. The infrastructure that's needed is separated from traffic, much like the path around the lake or the new Sturt Street path. The City of Ballarat does have a plan to build new separated bike infrastructure. There's a network that connects to activity centres and to major residential areas. The main problem with the plan is that it is inadequately funded. The City of Ballarat needs to spend more time lobbying the state government for increased funding for that bicycle network, and it needs to spend more of its own money in its own budget on building that network. More people riding bikes would make for a better Ballarat.
I'm Sally Missing and I live in Buninyong. What I'd like to see from Ballarat Council is a stronger commitment and stronger leadership in the area of climate change. So in November 2018, the Council declared a climate emergency and they've developed a carbon neutrality plan. And I think that's okay as far as it goes, but it doesn't go nearly far enough. So really what that plan sets out to do is to reduce Council's own carbon footprint. And I think there are opportunities, firstly, for Council to be doing what they do within Council better, but also for them to be working with the community a lot more strongly. So what I'd like to see within Council is for Council to incorporate climate change in all its strategic planning processes and its procurement policies, in the way it delivers its services. And what I'd most like to see from Council is some leadership with the community on climate change. There's a real opportunity to educate the community and to support them and to provide leadership so that we can all reduce our carbon footprint. So time's actually running out to keep global warming to 1.5 degrees, and we all need to be doing all that we can to reduce the impact of climate change. So good on Council for what you've done so far, but I think you could be doing a whole lot more.
Hi, my name is Hazel and I am a member of the Ballarat Action Climate Co-op, which is a local group of high school students who are concerned about climate change and are taking action. Like a lot of people my age, I'm a little bit worried about the future of the world that I'm going to inherit, and I'm keen to see politicians at all levels of government take stronger action on climate change. The Victorian Council elections are coming up, and this will give us the opportunity to elect a more diverse range of progressive leaders to our community. This is so important because at the moment we're at a bit of a turning point in relation to climate change, and we need to start taking some stronger action before it's too late. My vision for Ballarat is a Ballarat that has less cars on the road and more people walking, riding their bikes, and where there are safer bike lanes, because we don't want people being forced to choose between their personal safety and reducing their carbon footprint. I also want to see more green spaces and more solar panels on the roofs of businesses and schools. Ballarat has the opportunity to become a model for the rest of the country, and we can do this if we elect the right people to council. The Ballarat Council has actually declared a climate emergency, but we need to hold them to this because we haven't really seen any real action on this front. So this council election, use your vote to elect candidates that actually take climate change seriously and help make our community a cleaner and more sustainable place.
Hi, I'm Neil Huybregts. I'm Secretary of the Friends of the Irwee River. I'm President of Friends of Black Hill Reserve. I moved to Ballarat 7 or 8 years ago and just love the place. There's just so many things to get involved in, and yeah, clearly I've got involved in a couple of them and they really matter. The upcoming elections, I think one of the major issues needs to be rebuilding council's capability to manage its environmental assets. I understand the City of Ballarat lost its environmental management team, and I'm sorry to say that how that's worked out in practice is that nobody is really on top of the whole thing. And we can see it right up and down the river. It's covered in weeds, it's full of litter. There are problems with erosion. There are problems with it drying up in the summer. I think we've reached a real turning point. I think that there are a lot of things out there that are happening right now. We're seeing lots more community groups forming. We're seeing people getting out there and doing things, cleaning up rubbish, planting trees, planting understory. We're seeing a new master plan for the ROE. Yes, it's flawed, but there's enough in there for people who care about the environment to work with. What I'd be looking for from council after the next elections is for them to tap into that growing momentum, to collaborate with the community groups that are wanting to repair and restore and expand council's environmental assets. And to do that, I think council is going to need people within council dedicated to environmental management. We had that prior to 2003. We need it again. And I'm not talking about the people who do the mowing and do the weed removal or whatever. All that's happening. What we don't have is somebody whose job it is to coordinate all that, to link it into council's environmental goals, to build and develop in council's environmental goals, to look at the ways in which that interacts with the planning process, with all of the other things that council does, and most importantly, to chase state funding that would enable us to properly rebuild Ballarat's biodiversity.
Hi, I'm John.
Hi, I'm Kat.
And we've recently moved to Ballarat.
We both really love Ballarat and we're keen to see it grow into the future as a fantastic city that we know it can be. Personally, I'm really passionate and interested in the environment and ensuring that the environment remains in a good condition for future generations.
And something that I'm really passionate about is housing affordability and housing justice for all. We want Ballarat to remain a city that everyone can afford to live in and everyone can afford decent shelter. So something that I want to see the council invest in is better community housing for all.
My name is Sissy Austin. I'm a Wurrung Wurrung woman. I live here on Wadawurrung country in Ballarat, and I am 26 years old. I would like to acknowledge and pay my respects to the caretakers of the land that I live on, work on here in Ballarat, and I pay my deepest respects to elders past and present. Within that acknowledgement, I also acknowledge the amazing Aboriginal community that exists here in Ballarat, that is growing here in Ballarat, and that is strong here in Ballarat. And I've been so lucky to be mentored by some, amazing people and Aboriginal community members here in Ballarat. And yeah, I'm really, really, really grateful for that. And I acknowledge that as a young person. Been asked to talk about what a progressive council would look like for me and my opinion on that. And I guess I've had a range of experiences that have shaped my views and opinions on what a progressive council would look like to me. And a progressive Ballarat council to me looks like a council that allows for the voices of young people to be heard, a council that consults beyond existing structures. So by that I mean valuing the voices of grassroots community members, equally to say a committee within council. I think that you shouldn't have to be on a specific committee or in a specific role to have your voice heard and for change to be made. There's a lot of I guess structures and processes that were set up years and years and years ago, and a lot of these processes and structures were set up at the time where my people weren't considered human. We were classed as flora and fauna. So I don't think that these processes and these structures were built for our voices to be heard within. So a progressive council to me is a council that really looks at dismantling oppressive structures, oppressive decision-making processes, and oppressive environments. So really dismantling that and then rebuilding it with Aboriginal people leading on the rebuilding of those structures. I'm not new to challenging council and really fighting for change to be made within the City of Ballarat. And a progressive council to me is a council that avoids tokenism. There's been lots of moments where tokenism is present within the council, and I think that the trauma of tokenism needs to be acknowledged and avoided. That tokenism can come in so many ways. It can be from something as small as a councillor jumping in a photo with the Aboriginal community and then presenting themselves as connected with community, to then having tokenistic structures like advisory committees where councillors pick and choose what advice they want to take from those committees. I think that the trauma of tokenism needs to be avoided. And lastly, a progressive council to me and progressive individual councillors are councillors that are accountable to community and are comfortable with accountability to community. So yeah, they're some of my ideas of what a progressive Ballarat City Council looks like. Good luck.
Apparently I'm part of the minority. I'm not sure how I feel about that, because being a minority suggests maybe I'm of lesser value or not as important as those who are in the majority. But I don't feel like I should be in the minority, because I work, I contribute, I pay my taxes, I use all the facilities, I have hopes, dreams, aspirations, views and opinions on what I want to see in my city. So I feel like an equal, and I feel I should be represented equally on the council.